Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. A very good evening to all of you. Ms. Namrata Kumar, distinguished professors, audience, more importantly, students, ladies and gentlemen. It is such a great pleasure and honor to be in today's joint cultural festival program between our two very close nations. And I would like to share with you how it has been in the last few months to realize this day that we all got together. Almost a year ago, we developed this idea that not only talking of culture from distance, but we have to get closer and discuss from a close distance what are our cultural commonalities, our history, and more importantly, the way forward. And this is the first ever joint cultural festival between our two countries, though the history of relationship and the ancient nature of relationship is very old, but we have never been able to have such a get-together in the recent past. So I'm very pleased to realize ultimately the dream that we see our arts, culture, students, professors, academia all together for 3 days. Yesterday we had a very productive day to have a deliberation between our professors, academia. And the whole purpose of this was not only to talk, but also to leave behind sources for the future generation, especially the youngs, the youth who are studying in India, and also for the Indian youth to read the articles which were shared yesterday in the Embassy of Afghanistan, and we will be from now on working on publishing the articles which were read yesterday and be sharing with you so that you can go through the depth of our two countries' relationship and try to build on it in the future. As you all know, culture is an identity of a nation, and shared values really make us one as two nations. And therefore it is extremely important that we remember the history, that we speak of our past. Unless we know the past, we will not be able to lay down the way forward. And it is especially for the younger generation. Yesterday I mentioned that unfortunately, given despite the technological advancements and the facilities available, we, this generation, have not been able to do much as we should have as compared to the previous generations who have done so much in terms of sources and their interactions. Therefore, we should try from now on to do more in order to build on the achievements that have been made in the past. Culture, as you know, we are not showing the culture today, we're simply trying to revive the origin of our culture, the original identity of Afghanistan's culture by the program that you will see today and tomorrow. You all know our music history is at least 1,000-year old, but we don't hear much when it comes to Afghanistan. And you all know the reasons behind why you would not hear much nowadays. Fortunately, today we are reviving this, but you all know because of the power of culture, in Afghanistan, cultural performances were banned by the terrorists because they know the power of culture, how it plays an important role to bring people together within countries and also to bring people from beyond boundaries, bring other people and bring them together and closer. Therefore, the fear among the terrorists was always not to allow people to practice their culture. And today we are reviving that. And you will see today, and you will also see tomorrow, hopefully again, for our other programs. And I must acknowledge ICCR, particularly for helping the other involved party, the Afghan Ministry of Culture and the Afghan Embassy together, to realize today the program. And when you speak of culture, education plays a very critical role. And she mentioned earlier the scholarships given to Afghan students. And I'm very proud to stand today here to see the powerful presence of our powerful tomorrow, which is the students who will grow up, and they've already grown up in India. And that talent will go to Afghanistan and introduce a new Afghanistan. Afghanistan that will go shoulder to shoulder with the rest of the world, particularly with India, to learn from India. And I must acknowledge the role of ICCR in giving the Afghan nation the power of education. Culture, there is so much to talk about. And we have so much in common when we speak of the Indian cinema, when we speak of the handicrafts, when we speak of the cuisine, the food, all needs to be showcased. But today I'm also going to focus on how we should do more in terms of the collaboration to further strengthen the power and the assets of culture that we have in Afghanistan and India both. Cinema, for example, in the 60s we had joint films being shot by our two countries' actors. And I remember myself, my last meeting with Amitabh Bachchan, his own story of Afghanistan, how the people had received him in Afghanistan, and today you see the same reception in Afghanistan for the Indian cinema. And he told me himself that when he went to Afghanistan during the war, the warring parties stopped war to honor Amitabh Bachchan in Afghanistan. This is how India and this is how cinema is received in Afghanistan. And we should not leave it only at the reception, but we should transfer this technology that we have in music and that we have in all other areas, and also collaborate again on the same as we did in the 60s or even before that. Afghan musicians were being trained in India. Our famous masters of music, Sarahang and others, were trained in India. So the younger generation has to build on the old foundation that has been laid out by our past musicians. So I'm not going to take much of your time because today we are going to see some shows, some performances, but I only would like to say that we should not be in the only event that we are today, but we should be witnessing more of this in the future. And we hope next Culture Week Festival will be in Afghanistan. And we discussed this yesterday with the Minister of Culture, and he committed himself that he will be organizing, hosting the second Culture Week program in Kabul. So I hope that next time we will all be seeing each other in Kabul to see Afghan Indian artists playing in Kabul. So thanks so much again for your presence, and look forward to building on what we have achieved so far into the future. Thank you.